Please raise your hand and Shankara will bring you the mic. Please speak into it.
Swamiji, you were talking about the meditation on Om, and you said the fourth stage is that little tamatra.
The transcendental.
Right. That's the same thing as Turiya?
Same thing as Turiya. Turiya literally means transcendental. Okay. But it's described as the fourth because when you are counting A, U, M, then we are helplessly pointed to the fourth.
Right. And another question, you were talking about the third eye of Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, if within the realm of religion, a lot of the Hindus are afraid of Shiva opening his third eye because that would be the end of the world.
But let me dramatize that point, you see. Whenever there is good festivity going on and people are very happy, they are all afraid of anybody using a good intellect. Someone starts a philosophical topic. That is not in harmony with a festivity, implying that anyone who wants to open the third eye in a rajasic setting, that's not appreciated. But if you are with a spiritual goal before you, then you allow your intellect to explore the truth without any limitation. And that's when intellect becomes intuitional, that's the third eye. All the illusions move away. But when third eye is not open, that means your intellect is enjoying the pleasures of the world without asking questions. Also, the symbolism of cross carries similar point. When you have two eyes, you are receiving the world of duality, the world of illusion. But when you cross it, and that cross God has already created with your nose and the two eyes. You are carrying a cross, you don't know it. And the intercepting point is here in the Agya Chakra. So take up the cross means opening the Agya Chakra.
Blessing Swamiji. How does one practice obedience?
By obeying. You are told to do something by someone who is authentic, whom you reverence and you understand, and you want to be guided. So when someone tells you and you follow it, that's obedience. But obedience doesn't mean that you're just going to obey everybody. And you obey your own inner conscience. When you do meditation, your mind brings out a good understanding. And then it tells you, see, you did meditation, how wonderful it feels. Therefore, do meditation next day. Obey it. That's how you become obedient. Obedient to the good promptings that come from your heart. Obedient to good things, good teachings.
Thank you.
Swamiji, I have two different questions. When you say meditate on the question, who am I? Is that like a mind exercise, like a neti?
All that is involved. But when we say that, because I'm avoiding all the details, practice of meditation, who am I, begins with affirmation. Intellect is trying to understand who am I. That also is a part of that, who am I. But while you are meditating, you are creating an affirmation that even though in practical world that's not your practical reality, but I am with God. I'm sustained by God. And to be bold enough, I am God. If a river is a wave sustained by the ocean, a wave can very well say, I am the ocean. Let the intellect understand that point. That's one aspect of vichar. Let the intellect creates an affirmation, that's another aspect. Affirmation is something that is diffused. You can practice day by day, little by little. But both must go together. If affirmation is done correctly, automatically your intellect goes on understanding it. If intellect understands, your affirmation becomes more potent. Both go together.
Thank you. The second question on the great silence. Is that associated with the state of Brahman? It's not the three lower planes, is it?
Again, any word like silence has three stages. Physical silence. You go to a place and it's absolutely quiet. Not even a roach. But your inner feeling is not quiet. People become extremely afraid. A dreadful silence. Therefore the people use the word dread. So there is another silence. Silence where your mind is relaxed. Not with the stress of desires, not with memories of the past, not imaginations for future. All these create noise in your mind. All have gone away. Your mind is relaxed. Sattva has developed a sense of joy. But that again is not a permanent feature. It will come and go. Each time sattva comes to your mind, you will be able to experience that. Enlightenment is that state where mind itself, the mind is creating enormous spectacles of peace. And that gives you joy in a mental level. But you are going to transcend the mind itself, the mind that creates all the concepts of joy. To understand that, there is not easy way to understand what happens when you go to sleep. In the beginning you are aware of your bed, then you are aware, if I go to sleep I may have wonderful dreams. But then in actual sleep you move away from all your imaginations. And you cannot really describe what was the type of peace you had in your sleep. And yet it is not the absolute peace. Absolute peace, therefore, cannot be described. It is not the physical type of dreadful silence. It is not the music flowing on in a garden of your wonderful mind. It is stripped of all. The type of silence that gives that is the source of all inspirations to your mental plane, to your physical plane. That's the big source.
Thank you.
Swamiji, it had happened to me that I'm start on the meditation and I have the deity, but my mind still kind of hopping from one place to another, but I have the image. I still have the image. How to control it? Still having the image. It sometimes is challenging.
You simply continue. Instead of thinking of controlling it, bring your mind to the, am I doing the japa? Become more involved in your japa, more involved in watching the deity, more involved in visualizing the deity, and turn your mind to prayer. And that's it. Everything else goes on developing in your unconscious. Until as you practice, it becomes easy. Suddenly you slip into a deeper level in a positive way. But if you want to push yourself into deeper level, that acts in a negative way. That means you don't enjoy, even whatever little japa you are doing, you are not getting benefited.
And it happens.
Also to understand that your sadhana is like medicine. So medicine has always its effect. Even though you sometimes appreciate the doctor, thank him, and then take the medicine very nicely. Or you look at it in a very disgusting way, throw it. But as long as the medicine has entered, it's going to do its work. So as long as you are doing your japa, even though the mind is wandering, and watching the form of the deity, all that is lined up with a medicinal way, their impact goes on creating a special effect in your unconscious.
Swamiji, could you talk again about the analogy of the flame and the darkness relating to ignorance and how as the flame...
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
That's just to bring to the mind the idea, the general idea of knowledge is how much I know. But if you really know much, you will become increasingly aware of how much you don't know. So from intellectual point of view, no matter how much you know, it doesn't lead you to satisfaction. And that illustration is, you put a candle in a dark night, candle without much brightness, and ask the candle, how much do you know and how much you don't know? The candle says, yes. How much I don't know is just a 2-inch radius of darkness. That's all the darkness I face. A circle of 2 inches radius. Now increase that light, the wattage, make it 200. Now ask that bulb, how much is the ignorance you are facing? Enormous. A radius of, say, one furlong, or say 1,700 feet. that much is a circle of darkness. In other words, as the light goes on increasing, the awareness of immense darkness that circles it goes on increasing. That means your intellectual knowledge is advancing. This is symptom with intellectual knowledge.
But that analogy of the light Swamiji used for intellectual knowledge.
Intellectual.
Thank you.
Therefore the saying, he who says, I know, doesn't know.
Swamiji, I remember a story you were talking. You told a story before. It's between Vishwamitra and sage Vasistha.
Mm-hmm.
I think something like Vishwamitra wanted Vasistha's cow, and there's this whole conflict, and it all ended up with Vishwamitra becoming equal to Vasistha. Can you repeat that quickly?
I have to figure out the story. Whatever may be the details, the cow relates to that state of attainment where all desires are fulfilled. The wish-yielding cow, that's the figurative way of presentation. Sages like Vasistha possessed a cow that will give anything he wanted. But that's not to be taken literally. That cow represents the mind that has become attuned to God. That mind brings you a sense of absolute fulfillment. But creating a story, one who begins to compete with a sage, he sees the sage has a cow. Now he wants to steal that cow. And then the story goes on, many details. Right now I don't have all the data. But ultimately, to attain the cow, Vishwamitra has to become humble. He is, in the beginning, he is cursed. Creator had told him, to Vishwamitra, that he should become a Brahmana. He was a Kshatriya, is a person with Rajasic temper, Rajasic personality, that he should become Sattvic. And to succeed in being Sattvic, he should be recognized by Vasistha. Like Vasistha is the one who is handling his papers, you see. If Vasistha says you are a Brahmana, then you are a Brahmana and you have succeeded. Vishwamitra tried everything possible for Vasistha to address him as a Brahmin, and he didn't succeed. So much so in that process, the early stages, he developed inimical attitude to Vasistha. He killed one or more sons of Vasistha. But Vasistha is an enlightened being. Again, and then Vishwamitra took recourse to intense austerity. And while he was doing that, Vasistha says to his wife Arundhati says, how wonderful the moon is shining. Vasistha said, better than that is Vishwamitra's austerity is shining better than this. But right at that time, Vishwamitra had come in a state of frustration that Vasistha will never call me a Brahmin, so I will just kill him. He was listening. And when he heard Vasistha praising his austerity, he came out, fell at his feet with great humility. And Vasistha said, "Oh Brahmin, get up." he passed the examination. All these intricate stories are there in the Puranas. Okay, we conclude.
So, once again, reminding everyone